I mean, if I make 10 phone calls, I should have 10 sales. Duh. Hey, it's Alzay Calhoun with Coveted Consultant. Is it possible that every conversation you have turns into a sale? That's possible. Is it possible that everyone who interacts with your business will eventually become a sale? Is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is either one probable? No. And I think it's to our advantage to have better expectations about this. Let me tell you a story on where I think that this really highlights. I was working with a gentleman who was doing some advertising for his business, for his services. And so we ran some ads for a little bit and we were looking at the data, we were looking at the numbers. And he was making these quiet, silent assumptions he was making. So he looked at the number of impressions that his ads got. Then he looked at the number of clicks that the ads got. Then he looked at the number of registrants, the number of phone calls that he had, and of course he was excited about the number of sales that were possible. And he was putting those numbers in front of me, and he was like, "Well, Alzay, how are these numbers? How do they look? You know, do the numbers look good?" And I understand the conversation. I understand that question. That is a valid question, absolutely. But here's the base assumption that he was making that we can all get caught in. Is he was assuming or hoping that every impression would turn into a click, would turn into a registrant, would turn into a new client, and then away you go. And I know you're watching the video right now, as you're hearing me say it, you're rolling your eyes at yourself. You're like, come on, Alzay, that's not real. No one can do that. But isn't that how we behave? Isn't that how we behave? We put out one campaign, we send out one email, we talk to one person, and we've bet the whole farm. I mean, we just know that this is gonna be the one. And we put inappropriate expectations on our systems. We put unfair expectations on our mechanics. That's just not a practical way of seeing the business. But here's the next mistake that we make. And we don't talk about this a lot, but this is what actually happens to us. We see that data and we were so optimistic. We had such a rosy picture as we looked at that data. When that data inevitably does not meet our unfair expectations, then we start making systematic changes. So we look at that data and we're hoping, man, I should have more clicks. You have no idea why. You just think you should. I should have more clicks. I should have more registrants. You have no idea why, but you think you should have more registrants for your thing. I should have more sales. You have no idea why. You just want more. And so you look at those numbers. They don't meet these unfair expectations. So then you start making changes. You start changing the headline, changing the lead magnet you give away. You start changing your call script for how you talk to people on the phone. You start changing your offerings. You start making legitimate business changes because you misinterpreted the data. Hey man, 2 + 2 does not equal 5. I don't care how you count it up. 2 + 2 = 4. Hey, listen. If you think that every call you have is going to end up into a sale, that is not fair. That's an unfair expectation. If it happens, good for you. But that's lightning in a bottle. That happens every so often. You need appropriate, fair expectations of the data. And then you need to be able to interpret that data and make decisions according to those fair expectations. In short, give yourself a chance to make good decisions by interpreting the data correctly.